Good morning. Thank you for joining us on THV 11 streaming on THV 11 Plus. I'm Karen Fuller. Hayden Malgavy is off today. Let's go to meteorologist Tracy Bean, and now she's joined by Ashley King, who is watching for traffic for you as 6 a.m. is not really high traffic time, but
no,
we'll get
too
there.
Bad.
No, we're both wearing black today.
Yeah, you had a jacket. I haven't put it on.
Didn't plan it, by the way. Yesterday, I think we were wearing like the magenta purple, but today we're in mourning because we're going to see some temperatures going up on Friday.
So, you'll need a sweater later anyway because the studio's so cold.
That's right. Yeah, I forgot to put it on before I walked in here.
Well, tomorrow we'll wear happy colors because the weekend's going to be great.
Okay.
Yeah.
Happy colors tomorrow.
You bet.
We'll see what we come up with. All right, let's take a look outside. Oh, there's Mr. Cam the Spider. Good morning, Cam. We're going to go ahead and move on. He's getting his breakfast ready. He's busy this morning. He's up and at it at 6 a.m. We're proud of him for getting up this morning. 77 in Central Arkansas. We got 90% humidity, and those winds fairly light, around 5 miles per hour. It's going to be a bit of a muggy day in these portions where you see these this heat advisories. You're going to see the big difference here in a second. When we talk about dew point making a difference, this is why. I love when it kind of outlines it so clearly. But heat advisory today. Now, do I think Central Arkansas is going to get around to 105 up to 110 today? No, I think we're kind of on the fringe of that, and I think it's going to be more here in the maybe west of the metro and south. But I still think we're going to see some triple-digit heat indexes, but closer to maybe 102. But look at these dew points. This is, again, why it makes a big difference. They're going to be all nice and dry and feeling good up there in north and northeast Arkansas. We'll be a little more humid. Heat and maybe builds in a little bit more tomorrow, but we'll talk more about it coming up in just a couple of minutes.
And things are looking good on our roads right now. It is still very early, as we said just a few minutes ago. We're looking at this is Interstate 430 at the Arkansas River Bridge, and just a little bit of volume starting to increase, but not many people out on the road just yet. It's 6:01, so we'll see it get busier here as we get closer to the 7 o'clock hour. This is what it looks like with our live traffic map. There's really nothing going on so far, so another check coming up later.
Developing this morning in Pine Bluff, police are investigating the sudden death of a man as a homicide. Officers found the man lying next to a vehicle in the yard of a home. He was unresponsive, covered in blood, and pronounced dead at the scene. But police say they didn't find any obvious physical injuries. They did note a potential medical issue. His body has since been sent to the state crime lab for an autopsy to determine the exact cause of death and the manner of the death. Detectives, meantime, are treating the case as a homicide unless the investigation determines otherwise. And anyone with any information on the case is urged to contact Pine Bluff Police. We have an update this morning on an investigation into a troubled apartment complex in Jacksonville and its dangerously damaged elevators. Months after our report, state inspectors say one of the elevators at Jacksonville Towers is back in compliance. The state licensing board says the second one is still out of service, but violations connected to the now working elevator have been fixed. Inspectors say the landlord has two proposals for rebuilding or replacing that second elevator, but a final agreement has not yet been reached. And another follow-up this morning, tensions over the poultry industry are growing again in Cleveland County. Construction is now underway on another chicken farm, and neighbors say they're concerned about how it could impact their property and their health. THV 11 investigative reporter Tanya Motorzitsky returned to Risen to find out what's happening at the site and why the project continues to stir concern.
It's not the view Cleveland County residents like Janet Kimsey are used to.
The woods and stuff was all the way up to that. Then they came in and they clear cut it.
What was once a shady area filled with trees is now a clear view of chicken houses under construction.
My dad, first the words out of his mouth when he found out they were coming, he's like, I think I'm fixing to move. But we've been here for, 100 years.
We first met Kimsey last year when the state ordered Tina Farm to address waste runoff following an inspection prompted by complaints from neighbors.
Bad days, you can smell it.
7 months later, Kimsey says the problem is growing as their community welcomes more chicken farms.
Here to there, and there's chicken houses everywhere.
Including this one just off of US 63.
You know, there could be 60,000 plus chickens over there, depending on what they're going to be raising, because I don't have any idea on that either.
And when she asks questions, Kimsey says,
We don't get any answers.
now she and other residents are pushing county leaders to take action. Kimsey told us she and her dad spoke at the quorum court meeting in June. She says members told them there's not much that can be done and that the county does not issue building permits.
I think they could if it was pushed, but I don't think they'll want to.
We reached out to county officials who told us they do not regulate where poultry houses are built and pointed us to the Arkansas Department of Agriculture. We contacted the agency for 2 weeks to learn more about the approval process and this project, but we have not heard back. We also looked into the farm currently being constructed. According to county property records, the land is owned by Dault Family Farm LLC. Kimsey says the Department of Agriculture told her the company is connected to Dyson. State business filings we found show the company was created in August last year by Dault Tile of Pine Bluff. Finally, we reached out to the Arkansas Department of Environmental Quality about the concerns. The agency explained its role is limited to environmental permits because stormwater rules for construction projects that disturb large amounts of land. Despite the limited responses from officials, Kimsey and her neighbors say they're not giving up.
I don't want them over there, but there's probably not a thing in the world I can do. But I'm going to give it my best fight.
In Risen, Tanya Motorzitsky, THV 11 News.
The Little Rock Board of Directors is back to business, but recent absences are affecting how much can get done. City leaders say low attendance has delayed votes and raised new concerns about the board's ability to get work accomplished. For example, last week, only 5 of the 10 directors showed up, leaving the board without enough members to take any official action. This week, 7 directors attended, allowing votes on resolutions, but still not enough to fast-track some ordinances. City leaders say most of the recent absences are likely tied to summer travel, but Ward 2 Director Ken Richardson hasn't attended a board meeting in more than 2 years due to an undisclosed illness.
We have never been in a situation where we did not have enough board members to take action. That's never happened. I've been on the city council for over 30 years, and that's never happened.
We've been able to, make it without Director Richardson being there. I think it definitely is a hindrance.
Officials expect attendance to get better after the summer, but say the long-term vacancy continues to make it hard for the board to move business forward. Now to Capitol Hill, where tensions are rising. Dr. Anthony Fauci could face a contempt of Congress vote as early as next week after declining to answer questions about the origins of COVID-19 during a contentious Republican-led hearing. CBS News correspondent Jared Hill takes us there.
I respectfully decline to answer.
Dr. Anthony Fauci now under fire for invoking the Fifth Amendment more than 100 times during a contentious Senate hearing.
You're not a hero. Unfortunately, you're a villain.
Republican Committee Chair Rand Paul subpoenaed Fauci to answer questions Wednesday on whether the COVID-19 pandemic developed in nature or in a lab in Wuhan, China, studying coronaviruses.
You did not tell the American people the full story.
Earlier this week, Senator Paul released the 85-year-old immunologist's private journal entries.
The sole reason he is calling me before this committee is to get me to say something, anything, that could vindicate his repeated public pledges that I end up, in his words, quote, behind bars.
Former President Joe Biden gave Fauci a preemptive pardon covering his government service until 2025.
Nothing screams dishonesty than taking the Fifth Amendment when you're not even entitled to it.
At one point, Paul kicked Fauci's lawyer out of the hearing. Committee Democrats accused Republicans of bias.
This hearing is the culmination of a years-long crusade, which started more than 6 years ago when Dr. Fauci dared to contradict President Trump.
Now Paul is accusing Fauci of obstruction of Congress.
I think there is a very real chance that he could be prosecuted for that.
He says the panel will vote next week. Jared Hill, CBS News.
Even if the committee approves the contempt measure, it still needs 60 votes to clear the full Senate. If the Senate signs off, lawmakers would then recommend contempt charges to the Department of Justice. Meantime, President Trump's pick for Attorney General is facing a delay on Capitol Hill. The Senate Judiciary Committee is postponing today's vote on Todd Blanche's nomination after Republican Senator John Cornyn withheld his support, saying he wants a written agreement permanently ending the Justice Department's controversial anti-weaponization fund. The DOJ says it's continuing to work with senators to address their concerns, but without Cornyn's support, Blanche's nomination could be in jeopardy. Overnight, the U.S. expanded its military campaign against Iran, striking dozens of targets, including missile, drone, and strategic sites in the Strait of Hormuz. This escalation comes after Iran targeted an American base in Jordan. The Pentagon says U.S. forces also joined Saudi Arabia in airstrikes against Iran-backed militias in Iraq. That's a first in the conflict. Jordan says it also intercepted Iranian missiles fired during the latest attacks. The Defense Department says the war has now killed 18 U.S. service members, injured more than 600, and cost taxpayers around $37.5 billion.
As the conflict in Iran is proving to be a fair bit more protracted than the White House had anticipated, than the American people had anticipated, and here on Wall Street that market participants had expected.
As the conflict continues to push up energy prices, President Trump says he is still pursuing a diplomatic deal, while the State Department announced new sanctions targeting Iran. Now let's go back to meteorologist Tracy Bean and take a look at your forecast for today.
Well, we're going to see some clouds again and a few of those scattered, very, very scattered showers, less rain than yesterday. Still going to see that high in the lower 90s. Now, some of those are rain showers again, and mainly the clouds are going to keep us a little bit cooler. We're also hoping a little bit more of that drier air makes it to us. But looking for that heat index again, right around 101, 102. As we're heading into Friday, that stationary boundary we have now is going to lift north again more as a warm front, bringing in a little bit of that heat. Looking for that high tomorrow into those mid-90s, and heat index will be up just a little bit. But the weekend's looking so much better. We're going to get, again, those lower dew points, drier air. It's going to be a nice weekend ahead.